On Tuesday, there's going to be, which is amazing to me, there is going to be a quasi debate on Fox between Steve Scalise and Jim Jordan as to who is going to be Speaker of the House. And what's going to be fascinating is their competing visions for what the Republican Party is. They're going to say the exact same things.
Yep.
Yeah. The only thing that Jim Jordan's going to say is that I'm endorsed by Donald Trump. And Steve Scalise, I doubt he's going to come in and do a redux of I am, KKK without the baggage.
And I mean, Jordan will try to differentiate himself by being one of the founding members of the Freedom Caucus, right? I mean, and also, can he tout that Trump endorsement? Because Trump is publicly like winking and saying, I might want to come in and be speaker.
I think the sequencing is that he was thinking about it for a couple of days. And now it's saying
sounds like a lot of work.
It does sound like a lot of work.
Yeah.
But let's talk about, there's two big issues, right? It seems to me. One is, what are the implications for the budget stuff? Like everything else after that is largely irrelevant because there's no reason to believe they're going to be any more effective without Kevin McCarthy than they were with. The only question is like, and I don't think Kevin McCarthy would have made I think there would have been a government shutdown regardless with Kevin McCarthy. There was, it was just a matter of time. Like it was coming to a head.
Yeah.
But it's not inconceivable to me that we could get like an extended government shutdown, a really long extended one, short of, Sarah Nelson and the flight attendant union or somebody, similarly situated, who come in and basically say, we're not going to do this anymore and put some pressure on those people. But that's one part about it. The one big question is the government shutdown. And the second one is, how many seats is this going to cost the Republicans in 2024?
Yeah.
And how many more would have been cost? Like, I think if Donald Trump actually became Speaker of the House for anything more than like a day, it would add 3 points to Joe Biden's, numbers. I mean, that may be a slight exaggeration, but not too much.
Yeah. Good reminder of what it's like to have that guy in government.
Yeah. Right. And we're seeing that again. Like you got to be terrified. Let's play this clip of New York rep in the 19th district, I think it is, of Mark Molinaro.
Marcus Molinaro, yeah.
He is in the 19th district, actually. Like, that's where I vote up there. And he beat, I think it was Josh Riley. It was a very weird, thing that was one of those districts that got caught up in this. It was an off year, and he won as part of this sort of like small, the only place where there was like a red tide, if you will, in New York. Yeah. Here he is, like, this guy is walking a tightrope right now.
Tonight, as this chaos continues, the Republican Congressman Mark Molinaro and Democratic Congressman Seth Moulton. I want to start, though, with Congressman Molinaro. And I should be clear, sir, I know you voted against the effort to oust Speaker Kevin McCarthy, so you wanted him to remain as Speaker. So you just heard Congressman Nels, I'm nominating Donald J. Trump for Speaker, Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene. President Trump's the right guy for the job. I'd love to see him be Speaker of the House. Do you think former President Trump should become Speaker, even on a short-term basis?
Well, that's the way you framed it is a great way of answering it. I understand he's interested in being a short-term Speaker. We have a short-term Speaker. We have an interim Speaker. And I'm committed to finding somebody within the House, the membership of the House, to serve as Speaker of the House. We've got to be focused on governing again. And I think what happened 2 days ago was a mistake. I've said so. I think it's an embarrassment. And frankly, we need, as a conference, Republican majority, have to come together behind a candidate who serves in the House, who is committed to governing within the reality. And the reality is we have a divided country and we have a bipartisan government, and we have to function within that reality.
So President Trump, in this context, is coming to Capitol Hill next week ahead of what might be the first of many rounds of votes for Speaker, right? Depending what happens in your party. The day before, he hasn't been on Capitol Hill since the insurrection, when he was obviously nearby. So, do you think that's a good idea that he would come to the Hill? Is it helpful in any way?
I think that the conference has a lot to get through these next few days, and quite frankly, the amount of discussion that we've been having as members is complicated enough. I will say out loud that I've been engaged in these conversations. I think people from different backgrounds, ideological backgrounds within the conference, we all recognize this is a serious moment. This individual, the Speaker of the House, constitutional responsibility, second in line to be President of the United States. This is not a moment where we need any distraction or any undermining of a very serious effort to find the individual who will best enable us to govern. The American people want us fighting inflation. They want us focused on border security. They want us delivering.
All right, we don't need to hear anymore. I mean, the point of this clip is this guy could be talking about anything, anywhere, at any time. He is so nervous of both losing his Trump base, because let's be honest, like, if you're voting for a Republican, you are pro-Trump. I mean, in any district in the country, I mean, almost, like, the majority of your voters are pro-Trump.
Yep.
And he doesn't want to, screw that up. But he also realizes this guy's in a purple district.
Yeah.
And he is terrified about what is coming for him. And like, if I'm the Democrats right now, I'm making ads in his district right now saying, "Are you going to vote for Jim Jordan?" I'll talk about the stuff about the wrestling coach, but also this guy's an insurrectionist. This guy is a lunatic. Or are you going to vote for Steve Scalise, who literally said, "I'm David Duke without the baggage"?
Yeah.
I mean, or are you going to vote for Donald Trump? Like, I would just remind people, you're a Republican, and regardless of what you do or say, you are the part of the problem because you enable these people.
Yeah. No. And I think that's exactly the sort of predicament. You described it well of a guy like Molinaro, where you cannot win that seat without hardcore Trump support. But your base of support are the hardcore Trump people in a purple district. And like, you're really damned if you do, damned if you don't in that sort of situation, as we can see as he becomes increasingly sort of mealy-mouthed and scared. Because the options are so abhorrent that it is kind of like you really do just need to go into a place like his district and no matter what happens, just be like these are the people you're enabling. Like, these are the people that this guy's enabling. He wants to say this is about governing, but they have no interest in that.
Yeah, chaos. That's what I was saying earlier with the Speaker fighting. Why I'm just bathing in it essentially is because it is just wonderful to have this real-time reminder for the American public ahead of a 2024 election that the Republican Party is the party of chaos, and Donald Trump was the number one chaos agent in that way. And I think that even though I would like the Democrats to have a more coherent vision themselves, that negative partisanship and that reminder is a really, really good thing. Like, Marjorie Taylor Greene saying that Trump should be Speaker. What a joke. She didn't vote on the motion to vacate. She was not one of the 8, and she's overcompensating. That's what she's doing there by saying Trump should be Speaker. But she doesn't have to worry. She's in one of the reddest districts in the country. So is Matt Gaetz. This guy is shitting his pants because all of those frontline Republicans, and there are more, right? More frontline Republicans in purple districts than Democrats.
There's about 18 that the Democrats are targeting. As of like the beginning of this year, I think it was.
They're the ones that are probably want to dig up as much dirt as humanly possible on Matt Gaetz, and even someone like Marjorie Taylor Greene isn't helping their case by bringing Trump back into this conversation.
No, yeah, that's exactly right. And I mean, say what you will about negative partisanship, but it's kind of like the last reliable way of getting anyone to support anything in this country. So you might as well just lean on it.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it was a month ago. I got in the run up to the government shutdown. I don't know if it was for the debt deal or I think it was for this budget deal a couple of weeks ago. I got a call. I don't know from where. I can't remember the organization. Live person. Will you call, like I say, I'm a voter in District 19. Will you call Molinaro's office? Can we connect you to Molinaro's office and tell them that you want a budget deal? You don't want the government to shut down.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah.
Sure.
And that type of pressure is why you saw McCarthy do what he did in that continuing resolution, because he's there and he's got like two essentially incentives that are at cross purposes.
Yep.
Keeping his job, keeping the Republican majority.
Yep.
I mean, on some level, he's pretty psyched because he just took Nancy Pelosi's old, like little tiny office. Apparently he was the one who said, clear out her stuff.
Oh yeah.
And, he's going to do fundraising and he doesn't have to really worry about holding things together. He can go just to install Republicans in there, and then he can go to K Street and monetize all that. But this is going to be a big problem. If there's the more pressure put on these 18, who are in like purplish districts or Biden won districts, they're going to go. And if they're going to try and push for some type of like get rid of the motion to vacate thing. And
McConnell weighed in on that, which was rare. He basically was like, this is bad. Get rid of that next time around.
And Gates said he would be into it if they adopted Ro Khanna's reforms, which, of course, one of which was literally something you need a constitutional amendment for. I mean, so.
Oh, God, yeah.
Is it possible that we don't have a Speaker of the House for weeks and weeks? And then is it possible that we have months and months of a government shutdown?
I mean, it's sort of, it's terrifyingly possible. I mean, I think that I think just based on everyone's sort of incentives, everyone's like pathologies, there's no coherent path for adults to show up in the room and say, cut all this out. Like it's time to get serious. Even if we don't end up with a prolonged sort of vacancy for the speaker, the coming shutdown could be incredibly protracted. Because I mean, we have seen what happens when you actually like try to avert it, or when you actually try to do something to help those frontline Republicans like you were talking about. And I think like the incentives of whoever gets the job will again be to keep the job, and that's gonna lead to I don't know. It's really hard to imagine a path out of this that's not incredibly painful.